Hello and welcome to Virtual Investor Conferences. On behalf of OTC Markets, we are very pleased you have joined us for our 3-day Metal and Mining Conference. Our first presentation of the day is from Novo Resources. Please note you can submit a question for the presenter in the box to the left of the slides. You can also view a company's availability for a one-on-one meeting by clicking Book a Meeting in the top toolbar. At this point, I'm very pleased to welcome Mike Spreadborough, Executive Co-Chairman of Novo Resources, which trades on the OTCQB venture market under the symbol NSRPF and on the TSX under the symbol NVO. Welcome, Mike.
Thank you very much. Welcome, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here to give you, for people that know the Novo story, a good update. For people who are new to the story, you'll get a good overview of who we are. As we just mentioned, we are both TSX listed in the OTC platform, but we're also ASX listed. And I do ask you to definitely refer to the corporate presentation that went out 2 days ago and all the news releases on our website because they have more information than what I'll present today. So it's great that you're joining us. The normal disclaimer slide, so I'll let you read that at your leisure sometime. So who are we? We are unashamedly a greenfields explorer. So we're focused on looking for high-grade exploration potential and projects that we think can be developed into standalone projects of over 1 million ounces. So we're not interested in small 200,000 to 300,000 ounce projects that are close to another processing operation. We're looking for greenfields, new discoveries that have the potential to really add huge uplift in the share price. So that's our focus. In more recent times, we have shifted a little bit and we are now searching for copper projects, and I'll talk a bit about that as well. We're not too bad at the moment, not in US dollars, but about 10 million Australian dollars in cash, and we've got investments of around $40 million, which we'll talk about in a minute. Our whole portfolio, which we'll go through, has really changed in December last year. We made some acquisitions and that's expanded our portfolio. And importantly, it's added some high-grade drill-ready targets to our exploration portfolio. I'll talk a bit about our joint venture with De Grey Mining, which has recently been taken over by Northern Star, $5.2 billion Australian acquisition by Northern Star. But importantly, De Grey have a joint venture with us. They're spending $25 million on the Egina project for 50%. So we'll really go through that. I'll talk about our drilling program for this year. We are big drillers. We love to drill. Cash is always, a consideration, but we believe as a greenfields explorer, you have to drill and turn over targets quickly and keep looking for that great discovery. And as I said, I'll talk a little bit about our project that's out there looking for new discoveries or new projects to bring into the portfolio. So here's a quick snapshot. There's about 355 million shares out there. About a third of them trade on the ASX and 2/3 are on the TSX. Market capitalisation around 40 million Australian at the moment. As I said, we've got 10 million cash. We've got a bit of an eclectic investment portfolio. But importantly, San Cristobal Mining that you can see on this sheet, we've got a value at the moment of about $20 million. We liquidated some of that portfolio in December. So San Cristobal Mining is actually quite a liquid investment for us. We can use that at a later date to help us grow that portfolio through acquisitions. Electrum E3D is out of Denver. It's a 3D technology company. It's not quite as liquid as San Cristobal, but it's been a great earner for us. And these investments were part of the old Novo. We've kind of transformed since these investments were made, but both of them have brought significant value to the business. And the other investments there are ASX stocks that we have joint ventures with. So you can see our shareholder register, Northern Star, as I said, ASX listed mining company, valued over 15 billion. They're our major shareholder. Other good people to talk about, Mark Creasy. He's a billionaire explorer developer. He's really strong on our register, as are Crescat Capital, which is a Denver-based fund. So we've got good shareholder support, which is really important for an explorer. This is our board. Quentin Henge, who's very well known given his great geological work across the world. Quentin is our non-executive co-chairman, so both Quentin and I work together seamlessly to make sure that we drive the strategy in the business. On the right-hand side, Karen O'Neill joined us late last year. Karen has a finance background and importantly has worked in small junior mining companies as a CFO and also as a CEO. So Karen really understands the type of business that we're doing. And Greg Jones is a very well-known geologist in Australia, huge exploration background, and Greg and Quentin bring that geological nous to the board. Kaz DeLuca is our General Manager of Exploration. Kaz has worked all over the world chasing gold and copper targets, and her team are there prosecuting our strategy. And Elza brings up the team as our CFO. So we've got a very strong board, great skill set around small junior explorers, and we've got a great management team that supports the work that we're doing. So this is a high-level view. The little boxes in yellow I'm going to talk about in more detail. But as you can see here, we now have projects across the full suite of Australia. As some people would be aware, our home has always been the northern part of Western Australia called the Pilbara. But more recently, we have picked up projects that I'll talk about in New South Wales, and we still have the Belt Chopper project in Victoria. So we've spread our activities across Australia. Those who aren't, totally aware of the size of Australia, Sydney, which is in the right-hand side, and Perth, where I'm talking from today, that's about a 4 to 5 hour flight. So it's quite a long distance across the country. So here's our portfolio. So on the left-hand side are greenfields targets. These are the type of targets where we will do early stage work, we'll do some geophysics, and then we'll go and drill a small number of holes to really prove the kind of geological context and exploration context. And if things look really good, you'll then see us follow up in those. So we always have a range of these targets. If you looked at this box last year, there probably would have been 35 of these targets, but we've prosecuted many of those targets and they haven't really made the grade. So we're continually looking for targets. And you'll see in red, Toolunga is a large area in Western Australia that we picked up in December. It is pure greenfields. People haven't done much work in that area, and we've got the potential at a district size level to build the project up. And we'll talk about Balla Balla in a minute. We've just finished the drilling program. Advanced Greenfields is our Regina joint venture, which I'll talk about. And then for advanced exploration, we've got the Bell Topper project, which is in blue here. That's in Victoria. We recently completed some drilling work, and that led to an exploration target that we'll talk about as we go along. And then in yellow, the two targets that we acquired in December last year, the John Bull and the Tibooburra targets. And as we go through, they are both high-grade targets, drill ready. And the question marks, well, our project generation project is all about looking for additional projects to give us a bit more bench strength in our portfolio at the more mature advanced area. So we're definitely looking for some more advanced exploration targets, but we're definitely looking for projects that for whatever reason, it might have a small resource or might have had a scoping study or a first PEA completed, but for whatever reason hasn't been advanced. So we have the ability, given our exploration team and our technical team, but also our financing and funding position and support from our shareholders to take those projects through to a decision to mine. So we're out there looking for gold and copper projects in Australia particularly, but we've also turned our attention to look for similar projects in Canada. We're very, very disciplined with our due diligence and very disciplined about making the right decision for shareholder value. So let's look at John Bull. This is one of our new projects that came into our portfolio in December. So this is on the eastern side of Australia. You can see in this picture, Sydney is down the bottom of the picture. So this is about an hour and a half aircraft flight from Sydney up to this project, which here is at Grafton. So this area is called the New England Fold Belt. You can see in white, there's already other projects and other resources in the area, mainly focused on gold, but of all things, Hillgrove is known as a gold antimony project. So the area is very prospective, and you can see in yellow that there's a lot of projects in this area, and the ground we've picked up is just another one of those projects that we can prosecute. So what is John Bull? Well, here's a slide that is pretty exciting. So on the right-hand side, you can see the soil anomaly, 1.3 kilometre soil anomaly with very, very good soil samples. You can see here, 1.3, 10 grams per tonne, 4.8, 2.5. So this is the project as it was when we picked the project up. There has been historical workings, as you can see on the slide. 7 shafts were done in the mid-1880s, so a long time ago. The previous owners, TechGen, they did this initial soil work, and you can see that soil anomaly that I talked about. They also did some geophysics and IP, and that's been really good to help us build up the targets that we'll talk about in a minute. So they drilled a total of 17 holes, and they were very, very successful. So here's an example, a section, really great grades here, 68 metres at 1, including 23 metres at 2. You can see 94 metres around about 1 gram, but again, 66 metres at 1.14. So given that this is near surface intersections, very open pittable, and obviously has the potential at those grades to be economic if you can make a resource large enough. So really exciting. This is the type of projects that we're looking for. This project has stalled. TechGen have pivoted to a different strategy, and we've been able to come in and we're farming into this project over the work that we're doing. So here's our work. It's a bit hard to see here, but the yellow is the soil anomaly. Our team was on the ground in February, and you can see some of the work here. Rock chips, results of around 69 grams a tonne and 30 grams a tonne. We've extended the soil anomaly to 1.5 kilometres, so it's really grown another 200 metres. And that's been allowed us to delineate the 4 targets that you can see here. So we like this project. We think it's very, very exciting going forwards. And we're ready to go drilling in mid-June, prosecuting this project. So you can see that here. 4 targets, won't go into detail, but there's the main zone, south, west, and Diggers North. You can see the high grades of the peak values of the soils and rocks that were picked up by our team. And this really builds the platform for what we're going to do around about 2,000 metres of RC drilling in late June. So that's a really exciting project for us, immediate success, hopefully, going forwards. So in the other part of New South Wales is Tibooburra. It's a very remote area, but Tibooburra, again, high-grade project, and we've come in at early stage to have a look at where the projects are. So you can see here a very long trend. It's over 35 kilometres of similar lithology. It's been worked by the previous owners, Manhattan. Their focus has always been at New Bendigo. You can see in the black box, clone. That's our focus. We're really focusing on clone. We think that has the potential to maybe be a base load for the mineralised system. So you'll continually hear us talk about Tibooburra as we move forwards. So here's clone. It's a very small number of holes have been done in the past, only 11 holes over 250 metre strike, down to a depth of 75 metres. So very, very shallow preliminary drilling, but the results are fantastic. 7 metres at 7.23, 9 metres at 6, 6 metres at 4, 31 metres at 1.29. So that's given us promise, and that was part of that's the reason we've kind of farming into this project. We like what we've seen, and we really think there's potential. So this is New Bendigo, work done by previous people. They've done enough drilling over to delineate a 2 kilometre strike length. As you can see there, fantastic grades, 8 metres at 40, 16 at 13 grams a tonne, 7 metres at 13 grams. And enough work's been done to form a long section, which you can see in this picture. So our focus will be at clone, but in the back of our mind, there is an opportunity for the New Bendigo prospect to kind of firm up into a satellite pit or etc. down a later date. So if we come back to Clone, our team were in the field in the middle of January, 41 degrees, so it's a very hot part of Australia. And you can see some of the results that our team picked up, 90 grams a tonne and 42 grams a tonne from samples that the old timers had left in their mullock dumps. And then from outcrops and rock chips, you can see some of the results there, 31 grams a tonne and 10 grams a tonne. So we've seen a very long, 600 metre long, 250 metre wide coherent anomaly, and that's really been the focus for our drill program planning. So we're right in the middle now of drilling 2,000 metres of RC over a strike length of about 700 metres, testing our concept based on the work the previous people have done, but also us in the ground. So we're really excited by Tibooburra, again, drill-ready target project. So coming back to the Pilbara, we still have 6,000 square kilometres of the Pilbara. We have a lot of targets in the Pilbara, but they're at the lower end of the scale. So, you know, these are projects that we will continue to come back to, do early stage drilling, and then move off to somewhere else and make a decision on what we do. Without a doubt, our priority at the moment is to continually do the drilling at Tibooburra and John Bull. But once you've done one drill campaign, it takes a while to get the data, analyse it, and come back to it. So if you look at this thing, Balla Balla up the top there on the coast, we'll talk about that. Another area that's quite interesting is Sherlock Crossing. That's an antimony project. You'll probably see us do some early stage drilling there in Q3. No one's done much work in that area. There's a big antimony anomaly. You can see that on our website of one of our news releases. And in the middle of that picture, you will see the Egina Gold Camp, which is really based around the Egina JV, which we're going to talk about right now. So as I said, De Grey mining, for those that didn't know De Grey, you know, they were around a $5 billion Australian market cap. Their Hemi project has been through a DFS, has a resource base of 13 million ounces. Average grade, by memory, I think is around about 1.4, 1.5. So it's a very, very big system. You know, production planning of over 15 years, producing 400,000 ounces a year is their planning. So De Grey has now been acquired by Northern Star. We had completed a joint venture with De Grey. So the orange boxes you can see in the picture, about 1,000 square kilometres of ground. We had done some preliminary drilling work. That was really fantastic results, and that got De Grey interested in wanting to be able to work through that ground with us. And part of the reason is it's going to be located somewhere around 40 kilometres away from the proposed processing plant. So very, very easy trucking distance. So quite exciting. De Grey and now Northern Star, they need to spend $25 million to earn 50%. So just do the maths. That's a pretty high value for an exploration project that hasn't had much drilling. The minimum expenditure of 7 million Australian has been completed, and we look forwards to working with Northern Star on going forwards. I said I'd talk about Balla Balla. Balla Balla's really interesting. We quietly built up a package of about 80 kilometres length, focused on this thing called the Shoal Shear. So you can see that line in the middle here. What makes the Shoal Shear interesting, I'm just going to jump back a slide, is the Shoal Shear is out here in the top of the page, and it runs parallel to the shear structures that run through the Hemi project. So the geological context that we're working on is, has the Shoal Shear acted like the Mallina Shear and been a conduit for gold fluids, and has it built up the similar type of profile that we might have seen at Hemi? No one has ever done any, you know, modern exploration here, so we're busy and focusing on that work. We've just completed 6,000 metres of air core drilling, so in about 5 weeks you'll start to see some of the results from that, and that'll then determine whether we come back here immediately and do some follow-up drilling, or whether, you know, again, we don't really see the potential. So Belltopper, just want to quickly cover this in Victoria. a really great project. It's in the Victorian Goldfields area. You see Fosterville, some people would know that, owned by Agnico, very high-grade mine. Costa Field, which is owned by Mandalay, TSX listed, and Sunday Creek, which is part of the Southern Cross Gold Company, ASX and TSX listed. Very fantastic early stage exploration project, which a large resource potential. So Belltop is in the middle. It's only 22 square kilometres. We've done 3 really extensive diamond drill programs over the last couple of years, 2022, 23 and 24. We really like this area. We've done enough drilling to delineate several large reef systems, which are quite high grade. They run parallel. We hope there's a future potential here. And we've done enough work to put together an exploration target. So it's not a resource, a lot more work to be done before we get a resource. But look at the exploration targets. It's quite meaningful at 300 to 600,000 ounces. So we are aggressive drillers. As I've said, we've just finished Balla Balla. We're at Tibooburra. We're going to go to John Bull, and then you'll see us come back to the Pilbara. So just to wrap up before I grab a few questions, you can see here we've got a great team. We've got the edge of the joint venture, which is great value. We've got a good balance sheet, targeted program to look for more portfolios to grow the assets, and obviously working in Australia, which is a great jurisdiction. So that's us. We're very busy people. We're really focused on exploration. One of the interesting things that someone's inquired is how do we manage the portfolio? And that's a really good question. And we kind of just pull up this slide. Our focus is really very much on the right-hand side as priorities on these projects. But what we do is we jump back to those early stage greenfield projects, a bit like Balla Balla. We've done some work. We'll now do some thinking about that. Then we'll jump back to one of the higher grade projects, which are really our priority. But we keep always having a suite of these early stage projects because they're the ones that'll, have the potential of being a major discovery. So one of the things you'll see because of our projects, you heard of Balla Balla, John Bull and Tibooburra, and then we'll continue to drill all the way through October, November. We have continuous news flow now that we've started our drilling season, which started in mid-April. So you'll continually see good projects, good news flow going forwards. And as we continue to look for new projects, you might see something fill in there. So very exciting time. Gold price is high. We're continually to see great exploration projects. Our value that comes from shareholders is that discovery that would result in a substantial lift in share price and pushing those projects along the development path. So we're a very early stage explorer, great opportunity. I always think people should have a bit of a speculative gold explorer in their portfolio. We've got a great range of assets, a good team, and a great equity base on the ASX and TSX. So thanks everyone for listening. I hope that's really useful to you. Please get onto our website and have a look at the corporate presentation. Thanks everyone.